The following is a conversation with Jack Thompson, ultra cyclist. He's like the most extreme cyclist in the world. And he recently launched a video on YouTube, which I found super inspiring. And it was him opening about his ADHD. And yeah, we sat down and we talked about his journey as an athlete, his journey in mental health. It was super inspiring what he shared with me, and how it started when he was 13 years old, a kid, and was diagnosed with depression, and how his parents were presenting him a bicycle on Christmas, which he then rode passionately, then forgot about it during his college years and developed addictions, and then recovered from that and found cycling again as his natural high. Now he's like the most extreme cyclist in the world and breaks record after record. And we caught him in between his tours that he did in Austria and now in Himalayas. And we were able to sit down and talk. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, super candid. He now has a greater purpose, promoting these topics around depression, mental health, ADHD, and he raises awareness by doing this extreme cycling. So super inspiring, made me definitely want to go back on the bike, and yeah, and I hope you enjoy it.
Okay, we're on. Yeah, thanks for being here now, after having a puncture.
Yeah, no problem. Apologies, not what I had planned.
Like, I think that's what I wanted to ask as a random questions, like how often do you actually have punctures in your tires?
To be honest, hardly ever. Like in the last, if I could probably count it on two fingers. Like it doesn't happen with like the new technology. The Murphy's law, you've got to be somewhere in a certain time, you end up getting one. It's always the way.
It's like the tires are differently, right, these days. So like I remember from Berlin, I only went with those bulletproof tires, I call them. Like we're riding the bike on the streets of Berlin. You would have a flat tire every week or so. So those new tires are much better.
Are you still doing a lot of riding, or not so much at the moment?
Just city commutes, like mountain biking when I was younger, and I really love it. I mean, like it's fascinating to see and read about your stuff, and like we're gonna talk all about it today. So I'm really, really happy. Thanks for making time.
Thanks for inviting me on the chat.
Yes. So like this is gonna be just really casual, and I sent you some question in advance, but we can go with the flow. And it's like I started this new thing, right? This Neurospicy Founders community.
Yeah.
So it's just in the very beginning, but we have the first like 40 people in there, and everybody's super fascinating. And then I was looking. I was by accident. I came across the YouTube algorithm showed me your video about your opening up about ADHD, and it was a really, really, really well done video. And that just made me reach out to you.
No, I appreciate it. I kind of made that video not knowing what would happen with it. Some videos kind of perform really well on YouTube, and others miss the mark, and it seems to be a little bit hit and miss. But that one seemed to strike a lot of chords with a lot of people, which I was really happy about, because it's been like an interesting journey for me to get to where I am today. And that diagnosis, while it was only last year, it's answered a lot of questions. And so I thought, hey, if a lot of people see it, then great. If 10 people see it, then hopefully it helps 10 people.
Really good. And I shared it also with the group of Neurospicy Founders, and one member commented like, it had me in tears, and I got some questions also from the group, so gonna share them with you.
Yeah, I'd love to jump into them.
So like so maybe we could start first by just getting to know you a bit better. Like how did you get into maybe your sport, like and tell us a bit like the motivation behind that extreme approach to cycling. Yeah.
Sure. So like, to give it a bit of context, when I was 13, I kind of realized that I wasn't happy. I wasn't enjoying school. I wasn't enjoying the things I normally got enjoyment from. And I developed these kind of weird obsessions and tics. And in my mind, I'd convinced myself that if I didn't do these particular, whether it was winking with one eye or crossing my hands a certain way, I'd convinced myself that something terrible was going to happen. And so they almost gave me a sense of control. And at the time, my parents said, hey, we think it's worth going and chatting with a psychologist, which for a 13-year-old kid is quite daunting. But I went in and I spoke with a guy, and it really did help. And at the time, he diagnosed me with depression, and I started my journey on antidepressant medication.
At the age of 13?
13, yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
So around the same time, my brother actually asked Santa Claus for a bike for Christmas. And being a jealous older brother, I thought, well, if he gets one, I'm going to ask for one as well. So I asked for a bike, and Christmas morning, woke up and there was a bike there under the tree. And my personality's always been a little bit obsessive about things. If I do something, it's always 120%. I struggle to sort of do it and not really commit to it, especially if it's something that I'm interested in. And I started riding a bike and really enjoying it, and I got a little bit more competitive and started racing. And
that was like a race bike already, or was that just a kid's bike?
No, this was a race bike with the drop handlebars and the skinny tires, and
okay,
yeah, it was like it was quite young to be on it, but I loved going fast, and I love that competitive sort of aspect of chasing someone and trying to win a sprint or something. So all throughout school, what I found was that bike, the exercise, really helped with my mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd sort of attributed it to the antidepressant medication, but I think in hindsight, it was actually the exercise that was really beneficial for keeping my mental health in a good place. I finished school, as a lot of us did, sort of felt like we had to go to university. So I went to university and studied construction management economics.
Mm-hmm.
And during that time, I gave away the cycling. I was 18, going out, partying. In my mind, I sort of figured I want to become an adult, and the cycling was something I did as a kid. And I started going out, I started partying, and that obsessive sort of part of my mind kicked in, and I started using drugs and basically developed a drug addiction. So I was lucky and I got through university. At the time, there was a construction boom in Australia, and so I was a young guy and I was able to work while I was studying in the construction industry. But I ended up having to go into rehab. So went into rehab, severe depression, suicidal ideation, was not in a good place. When I came out of rehab, my dad said to me, hey, why don't you get you back on the bike? And I thought, well, that's the last thing I want to do. That was something I used to do. I'm not interested anymore.
That's good. Good on Dad. Yeah, that he said that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I eventually got back on, and I fell in love with it, overnight.
Yeah.
And I realized that I didn't want to race anymore. I just wanted to go and ride long distances. And I said to my dad, I said, hey, I don't want to work anymore. I want to make a career out of cycling. How the hell are you going to do that if you don't race? I said, I don't know, but I want to work out a way to do it. And so I gave away this well-paying job in construction and started at ground zero again, but worked out that I could apply a lot of the skills that I've learned in contractual negotiation and developing partnerships and apply it to the bike industry in a way that somebody hadn't done before.
Oh, wow.
So I started documenting myself doing these extreme rides in Asia, and it kind of grew from there to the point where it is today, where it is very much a full-time job.
Yeah.
And working with the biggest brands in cycling, and now kind of shifting the focus a little bit to these large-scale social impact projects where I undertake something extreme on a bike as a way of telling a story, and the story typically revolves around mental health or you know, getting more people riding bikes and exercising.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. So raising awareness with the platform you got. Okay.
Exactly.
And doing extreme things to kind of pop up in more people's timeline and just get their attention. Okay. Yeah. That's really cool. I think like I'm big into snowboarding. So that kind of career path that you explained is something that some of the snowboarders have chosen to do, like filming video parts and then maybe, using YouTube and other platforms to kind of do something in that professional space, but not having to do these crazy contests. And I didn't know that this is also happening in cycling, but you're the prototype for that.
It's almost that free skier model. Video parts as opposed to having to go and line up at an X Games competition. And
that's so cool. Yeah. It's like, but do you still like to compete, like in some form, like maybe against yourself or like?
So what I do is I kind of undertake, I call it in the cycling world, fastest known times, or with Guinness World Records, where we say the fastest time, and last year we did the fastest time to cross Japan. So we set up from the very south and rode to the very north and set a world record doing that. So I guess you could say they're competitors. But they're not competitive in a sense that there's not a group of people lining up and going at the same time. You sort of pick and choose when they do it.
So I've seen a bunch of your videos, and you've been to Japan a lot, cracked a lot of records.
I really enjoy life in Japan.
You see the background also, those pumpkins.
It does.
Yeah, so I live in Japan, right? So I'm based there with my family, and it's a great place. And people are into their hobbies, right? I don't know how many cyclists you meet there, but there's plenty. Yeah.
And I found it was a very safe place to ride a bike. People are very respectful. To Australia, it's another beast.
Same with surfing. Surfing is a big part of the culture as well here, and a really cool community as well. And like, when Japanese people get into their hobbies, there's no holding back. They gotta go pro level with their hobbies.
That's actually
it's like and when you talked about these mental health topics, you wrote about it also on your website, and of course feel free to answer in any way you like to, but of course I'd like to dive deeper a bit on some of the things you mentioned. So like this diagnosis at age of 13 with depression is quite like something that I haven't heard often. Like, was that a difficult diagnosis, or was it like super clear, or like?
From my side, it was. I was never kind of shocked by it. I was never. I know a lot of. Well, I have friends that have been diagnosed with depression. I almost don't want to accept that that's the reality, and they're sort of opposed to putting a label on it. I was very much open, and it almost for me was a way of moving forward. It provided me with, hey, there's a reason I'm feeling this way, and there's actually things that we can do to sort of move forward the way that I'm feeling. And so I was never kind of ashamed of it. I was never nervous about what it meant. It was more of I guess I had a sense of acceptance, and that allowed me to sort of move forward. Looking back, I don't know if it was difficult for the psychologist to make up his mind whether that's what I was dealing with. But I was in there pretty regularly. Like I was in there twice a week, every week. He's sort of given us his mobile number because things were pretty bad. And so I'd say from his side, it was quite obvious that there was something going on.
And the ADHD didn't come up as a topic back then, or?
No, and I think that's what's really interesting is I didn't get diagnosed with ADHD until last year. So I'm 36 now. So 35, I was diagnosed. And it was only by chance that I was in a position that I got talking with somebody that ran a psychiatric clinic in Australia, and they said to me that this is part of a project. So I had this project of setting a record on a remote trail in Australia.
Yeah.
And then at the completion of the record, I was going to go back on the trail and visit schools along the lane and chat with kids about the power of goal setting and having a dream or working towards the dream.
That's awesome.
One of the sponsors for that project was this psychiatric clinic called Okia. And we're in the car one day, driving to one of the schools, and the chap said to me, "Had you ever thought about, doing the testing for ADHD?" He's sort of been around me for a couple of days, and I laughed, but I said, "No, I don't know, never considered it." And it was only when he said, "Look, ADHD is not just that hyperactive kid in the classroom," which is, I think, what a lot of people still sort of associate. ADHD is the kid in the class that can't sit still.
Yeah.
And I sort of said, he said, "Look, I'm happy to sort of cover the cost of, you coming in and we'll do doing and see what happens."
Mm-hmm.
Well, hey, why not? He suggested it, and maybe there's the off chance that I am.
Yeah.
And when I went in and did the testing, it was combined ADHD, and the psychiatrist basically said there's no grey area, or it's definitely a yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I started medicating for the ADHD, and the best way to describe for me now, using the medication for me now is like putting the noise cancelling headphones on.
Mm-hmm.
Without them, there's a whole lot of noise, and my thoughts are erratic, and I'm thinking about what I need to do tomorrow without concentrating on what I'm doing today. But when I use the medication, it's like the headphones go in and I'm very much focused, and my mind becomes more of a list as opposed to scattered thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
It's been like a life-changing diagnosis for me.
And probably like going back different stages in your life and like scanning those situations again, now that you are aware of the ADHD, and how does it now make sense, kind of the process that many of us go through, and I certainly did.
Lots of things. You've got answers to lots of things now. Why was I doing that? Because it's...
And it's this nuanced things that I find so interesting, like how it shows up for me, how it shows up for different people, but it's not so like just the stereotypes, but it's so fine things that I'm able now to connect to ADHD, where other people still wonder, like how to say, or try to understand. But it's a lot of things that have to do with relationships or interactions with other people. It's not just the physical sensations, but simple things like remembering people that I should have forgotten about long time ago, and they're like still present in my daily thoughts or something like this, I don't think they ever think of me anymore, but they like pop up in my mind almost every day, right? Like so random, like but that's cool. I think then, like you mentioned the drug addiction, like the drugs that you use now for the ADHD, they are different from the drugs you used when you were then in your addiction, and like, were you self-medicating somewhat back then, or like how do you feel about that stuff now? No.
Looking back, I think a lot of the addiction stuff, a lot of the obsession stuff relates back to like a lack of dopamine and almost looking for a bit of a high.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, I didn't naturally have it. I always felt very flat and almost like numb to what was going on around me. And I think, the drugs and the partying was almost my way of trying to find that sense of excitement in life. Also look back like tattoos and things like that. Like I was at a young age, I'd say obsessed with, another tattoo and another tattoo. And it was almost like I was trying to get the high of something more exciting. And I think that's because of the lack of dopamine in my mind. And now using the medication, it's like I kind of feel alive. Before I didn't feel like I was really living. It was like I was existing, but it wasn't an enjoyable existence. And now I'm like excited to wake up in the morning, and I wake up at 4 a.m. and I still got 2 hours before the alarm goes off, and I'm like, no, I'm ready to get up. Like I want to get into the day. And
Really?
yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, that's great. So you got more cycling done too, or like during the last year?
Yeah, I think one of the things I think over the years I harnessed without knowing is that hyper focus.
Mhm.
And when there's the things that I like school, like I really wasn't interested in school, and so I was off with the fairies. But if it was something I was interested in, so it was like cycling back when I was 14, and I said, I became obsessed with it. I could really channel my energy. And I think now that I'm a little bit older, I've worked out how to sort of use that to my advantage and channel the energy to achieve positive outcomes. And so, the diagnosis and the medication I almost feel like it's bought me more time in the day to do the things I need to do. So, teaching myself the video editing skills, something that before I wouldn't have had the patience to sit and do. And it's allowed me to sort of go out on my bike. If I have a bad day on the bike, I don't hyper focus on the fact that I've had a bad day. I'm able to move on.
Yeah.
It's really settled things.
What are some of the other things that maybe have changed since being diagnosed with ADHD?
If you ask my wife,
Uh-huh.
I'd say I'm a lot more sort of easygoing. Before I kind of felt like I was highly sprung because I had all these to-dos in my mind and I wasn't able to kind of make them happen, and I just felt stressed all of the time.
Yeah.
Now that's disappeared, so I feel far calmer. I used to do things that would sort of give me a sense of control. So whether it was becoming a little bit obsessive about the eating, as an athlete, I've got to be careful around my weight and things because that inhibits performance depending on whether it's high or low. But I was perhaps a little bit too obsessive. I would never kind of enjoy a dessert. I'd always feel guilty. And nowadays I'm sort of a little bit more relaxed, and I can sort of say, hey, now it's fine. I mean, I've had that and I trained hard today and that's fine. And it's almost lowered the level of anxiety in my mind.
Yeah. Is that all to do with the medication, or is there also other things that make you now kind of look at things more in this way, or relaxed, like more balanced? Like, is it all the medication? Is it just being aware of it better, or like, how would you say?
I'd say obviously the medication does play a big role, but I think also being aware of or understanding why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
And almost having some answers. I think before diagnosis, I always felt like I was kind of different and I didn't understand why I did things the way I did. And I was trying to change them. And I think now knowing that I was doing them because I was just trying to cope with, the way that my mind was working.
Yeah.
I feel kind of better about myself.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like a user manual, I call it also, right? Like the user manual that you can give to yourself, but also to the people around you. And
Yeah.
kind of like, then jokingly, I would say like, like as an excuse, right? Like it's ADHD, I forgot
Yeah.
it, blame it on the ADHD, but it's the ultimate excuse. But I always say like, it's not an excuse. It's just like, something a context that I just want to provide. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Do you take medication?
No, like I'm pushing that away a bit. But I should try it. Maybe I'm afraid. I don't know. But I try to find natural ways that make me feel like on medication.
Yeah.
Let it be like my surf routine. I live near the coast in Chiba, so I can go surfing, and just simply cold water is like one thing that puts me into a good state.
Okay.
And then best if it's the ocean, and then or the sea here in Finland. And then another thing that helps me now working concentrated is things like Brain FM, like this music that I put on.
Heard of that?
So like you can watch some free YouTube videos, Brain FM, and then they also have an app with unlimited stuff. But it's like it puts you in a very productive half an hour, or if you want 3 hours, like, and that's really cool. So medication is something that I could go about. Let's see, like
Yeah.
but I'm hearing it, but everybody has to make their own decisions, and yeah.
Sure.
Like getting high on your own supply. That's a really cool motto. Like Wim Hof, or like breathing, and breathing is a big thing. I had asthma all my life, so
Yeah.
also interesting how that affects me in more ways than I thought. And then I had a really bad asthma attack like earlier this year again, and then I was like, okay, let's figure out something more and than just the sprays. And I got the nose surgery, so inside that I can breathe better. I had a chronic sinus infection, and now I got it corrected, and I can breathe through both nose holes, and that already makes me feel much better. So yeah.
Have you ever come across this device here?
It's a nose cleaner, or like a nose shower?
No, this is like a intramuscular lung trainer. So
Okay.
I'm saying it's for the asthma.
Okay.
But I use this to strengthen my lungs.
Okay.
And there's various like breathing exercises.
Can you show me again? Can you show me this thing?
Yes. So there's this one which you can use. You don't need to plug it in. And then there's this one which I plug into the computer. And this one is a little bit more high tech with some graphs and things. But you can really like build up your lung capacity. And there's a lot of research around the asthma and strengthening the lungs using one of these devices to help ward off the asthma when it gets bad.
Wow. What are those things called?
So it's called Power Breathe.
Power Bridge.
Yeah. I'll put you in contact with them.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. I will try it out. It's like cool that you had it lying around on your desk.
Yeah, I use them twice a day.
Like that's one fun fact I read about cycling is like I think everyone competing in Tour de France has clinically diagnosed asthma. Is that correct?
Probably with what medication that they're trying to get a COE for, an exemption for.
That was a crazy fact.
Yeah.
It's like, have you ever competed to the front? No. Like,
no, so I've never done. Well, last week I actually was in France. And
exactly.
I rode 3 Tour de France around
on your own terms, right? Yeah, like.
Yeah, so I did it on the original gearing that they did it on. It was 400 kilometers a day for 6 days. That was pretty wild, but I've not raced the actual Tour de France race.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's like, so let's talk a bit more about this extreme side of doing the cycling. So like, you're like called the most extreme cyclist on earth, and like, I wanted to ask you, do you think so? Like, do you think you're the most extreme?
No, it's just what media said.
But the stuff that you do is not many people are doing at that level. Or do you find crazy ones like that?
Perhaps growing in popularity now. Like it's kind of on trend, I guess, but I wouldn't say I'm the most extreme. Maybe a couple of years ago, I was pushing limits a little bit more. But as I've gotten older, I kind of realized that there's, I need to build longevity into it, and doing something really extreme is great, and that was a little bit more of an ego-driven thing. Trying to use it and attach it to a greater cause is kind of has more impact, both outside of my own body, but also mentally. Like there's more of a reason to do it.
So you need a good reason, right, to keep going.
We've done things in the past where we've raised lots of money for different charities, and I feel better about doing that. And when it becomes really hard, there's a purpose behind it, and I'm able to really harness my energy. But when I'm just doing something for the sake of doing it, and it's how fast can I don't know, ride across Australia, for example, or it's kind of an ego thing. Like, can I beat the last person? And I've kind of lost the love of that a little bit. Like, I love doing extreme things, but I now want to attach it so there's more of a cause behind it.
What's the most extreme thing you've done, you would say?
Probably in 2022, we did a year-long project to climb 1 million meters of elevation. And so that was like the physical toll that had on my body over the course of a year was crazy. The level of fatigue each week was more than a rider riding the Tour of France. To put it into perspective, and we did it for 52 weeks. So after that, I kind of...
And you hit that million, or?
Yeah, I hit the million, raised €500,000 for 3 mental health charities, and set a couple of world records while we were doing it, but I couldn't pay me to do it again.
But you're still doing, basically.
Still doing it.
And then, like, how to say? So what I'm of course curious is like, how does your mind and your body feel in that extreme kind of like situation? So looking back with your ADHD mind, like, was there like a unique sense of clarity or like something else that you felt like doing that stuff? Just how did you feel good after? Like, how do you feel? Like, you feel really bad? You feel really good? Like, how would you describe feeling after doing that stuff?
When you're actually doing it, it's really, really hard.
Yeah.
Like, you often think like, why am I doing this? Like, you're really pushing yourself to the edge of what's possible, and I'm very little sleep. So at times there's like hallucinations and things get really kind of scary. The sense of achievement afterwards is like when you finish, it feels really good. But I'd say I've always struggled a little bit because once I achieve something, I'm already looking to the next thing. I kind of feel lost without a goal. And so I've never really been able to really enjoy what I've achieved. I'm always moving on to the next thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's been a bit of a struggle. It's all like post-event blues, where I have a sense of elation for a day, and then I'm already like thinking about the next one and how I could have done it better. And at times it's been like a bit of a negative loop that I get myself into. I've gotten better at it with time,
Uh-huh.
but yeah, I kind of enjoy the process more than the actual event itself. So like the training, the daily rigidity, eating the
Yeah.
same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day because I'm a bit of a creature of habit, and slowly chipping away at something. That's what I really love. And that gives me structure, which I think gives me a sense of control of what I'm doing. And I like that. The actual event it's good, but
Yeah.
it's also really bloody hard.
Mhm.
Uh,
So like keeping the routines while being on a travel or a tour, like how to say, you kind of keep your routines then very much, or like
I
because
try to, yeah.
those trips kind of throw you off, right? Like you don't know where you sleep, and like
Yeah.
how do you kind of balance that out?
Yeah. In the lead up to an event, I try and keep everything the same. But then I also know that, and I try and do every single thing I can to come into an event as very best prepared as I can. And then once the sort of the gun goes, so to speak, and the event starts, I almost accept that the next days are kind of going to be an unknown, and I don't know where I'm going to be able to get food. I don't know where I'm going to sleep. I don't know
Mm.
how my stomach's going to react to a food, and there's lots of unknowns. And yeah,
Mhm.
I think I just try and keep pedaling. Yeah, that's what I'm there to do. And I you know, whether it's 5 days, 3 days, 2 days, I just set myself that goal, and I know that once it finishes, I can get back into my routine. But it's an acceptance that it's going to be different for a few days, and I think I'm going to deal with that.
Yeah. That's like, these are the questions I was curious to find out a bit, like what keeps you motivated? Like, why are you doing this? And I'm like, how is it related to mm, to to your ADHD or other things that you carry with you, that you are able to do it and to get extent? And
Yeah.
does it have to have a person with this kind of background to do such extreme achievements? But
It's funny. I think
yeah,
I
uh,
spoke with one doing so I'm working with a charity in the US that's linked to a research group called Outright, and they look at the benefits
outright. Mm-hmm.
of bike riding on the mental health. And a lot of the research they've done is around professional athletes and ADHD or some form of depression. And there's really not that it's a kind of a lot of athletes won't publicly say that they've been diagnosed with ADHD or
Yeah.
depression. But a lot of the research shows that a lot of the top athletes in doesn't matter what sport it is, suffer from some sort of neuro divergent mindset.
Mm.
And I think that's really interesting that I wouldn't say it's a prerequisite, but
Yeah.
I think you can use it to your advantage, and it's almost the sport becomes part of a coping mechanism.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the same thing what motivated me to start this group of entrepreneurs, founders with neurodivergence. So it's overrepresented, and it's overrepresented probably among artists. It's overrepresented probably among athletes, extreme athletes, for sure. And yeah, something drives us, right, to do stuff in a different way, or we see that things are possible to do in a different way. Like you probably look at something and you say like, okay, I could do this in a day. What they do in a week or something like that.
Yeah.
You look at these things differently at those kilometers or
Yeah, I think
altitude.
the gift.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to work out how to harness the gift.
Harness the gift.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like everyone in the group here.
Hmm. What are some of the small maybe hacks or routines that you could share like those power breathers, but then like what are the other things that maybe you do as a small routines, little hacks?
Something as simple as like I've always got like a list where I keep things that I need to do on a list,
Mhm.
and that I'm sure you can relate to. Like you've got 10 things to do and you get 8 of them done, but then you can't remember what the last 2 are. And so I tend to write everything down, and I physically kind of tick it off. I just do it on my phone in the notes app, but I sort of hit the tick button when I've done it.
Yeah.
And I think that keeps me sort of focused. It gives me, every day I wake up knowing what I've got to do.
Yeah.
But it also gives me a sense of satisfaction when I achieve something. So, all right, I did that and I've achieved it.
I cannot start working before I don't write the things down on a list. Like,
Yeah,
I just need the paper and a pen. Like, I cannot otherwise start.
yeah. I think the importance of like a really good morning schedule, so starting the day off. So I like list, like if you start the day off like in a really, in a good way and it's sort of a familiar way, I think the rest of the day kind of falls into place. So for me, every day is I wake up and the first thing I do is I do like a little stretch, and then I have a big glass of water with some electrolyte salts in it, and then I have another glass of water with a Immune Boost AG1 powder in it, and then I have a coffee, and then my day starts. But every day is the same, whether I'm on a trip or whether I'm at home, whether I'm on holiday, it's always the same. And that's almost my little, I don't want to say sense of control, but it's almost like, all right, now I'm sort of awake now. I know what I'm doing and the rest of the day can happen. And that just gives me, I feel good about the day when I've started it well. Other things, other hacks. So one thing that I think everyone could apply is whether they're, so for me, I use it before an event when I'm sort of going into battle. For somebody else, whether it's going into a meeting, trying to source funding for a project, I always, before I start, I go to the bathroom. I'll go into the bathroom and I'll look myself in the mirror and I'll make a commitment with myself. So I'll look myself in the eyes and I'll make a commitment with myself that I'm going to achieve what I set out to achieve. And it's like it's always like a handshake, like, you're going to do this. And then when I go out there and it gets hard or it's sort of not going as I want, I think back to that, that agreement I made with myself, and it sort of gives me a sense of encouragement. You can do this and you agree that you're going to do it, so keep pushing forward. I think it might seem like a silly one, but it really,
that's powerful. Yeah. Then I got the right gift for you. I'm gonna send you something small. Do you know what a daruma is? Daruma. A daruma?
No.
So daruma is these little things in Japan. They are usually red. It's a little doll, and it has 2 eyes that are not painted out.
Yeah.
It's like it's a blind monk originally, the story. And I just gonna type in the chat daruma. And then you make a commitment to a goal, something that you wish you would achieve or would happen, and you color 1 eye, and then you put this guy in a corner or on a desk or somewhere, and then it's always going to look at you with 1 eye and remind you that this other eye is not colored yet. So once you achieve your goal, then you can color the second eye, and then this.
Yeah, I like that.
Like just seeing it there constantly reminds you of this unaccomplished thing that.
Yeah, I really like that.
Gonna send you one.
Yeah, that's cool. I think one in my office.
It's a great souvenir from Japan.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's really nice. So like a handshake with yourself, kind of, huh? Like that you do there. Mm-hmm. When did you start doing that? Or like
Probably 3 or 4 years ago. Actually, I'm not going to take credit for it. I heard somebody else talk about it, and I thought I'm going to try that the next time I've got an event. And
Yeah.
every time I've sort of done it, things get hard. I think back to, hey, you looked yourself in the mirror and you said you were going to do this. So just get on with it and make it happen. And it's almost like someone kind of watching me and just keeping me accountable for what I said I'm going to do. And it's funny how the mind works. But
and then maybe you're very much into nutrition, and then like how is that affecting your mental health, kind of like?
So I've got like a bit of a funny relationship with nutrition. I guess I've kind of lost that sense of what it's like to be hungry and to not be hungry, because I'm kind of eating for performance. Like I eat because I have to eat. And it's kind of this weird thing that sometimes I don't know, am I actually hungry, or am I kind of eating because I feel like I need to be eating? I've followed different diets in the past. I've restricted calories. I've done different things. I honestly feel like for me, what's worked best is just eating when my body is hungry. So just saying, hey, it's hungry, I need to eat something, and trying to eat as natural as I can. So yeah, when I'm on a trip, I'll eat lots of sugar and junk food because I'm burning 10,000 calories a day. But at home, I'll eat oats, or I'll eat yogurt, or I'll eat nuts, or I'll eat natural things. And I feel like you kind of have to listen to your body. If you listen to your body, you can't really go wrong with it. I think it's when you start binge eating for more emotional reasons, or my mum suffers with that a little bit. She kind of eats because it's her sense of kind of control. It makes her feel kind of good. Lack of dopamine. She's actually going to do the ADHD testing soon as well. I think just trying to keep things as natural as we can is a big takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's research, and I haven't looked into it much, so perhaps you can shed light. Like, I've heard like high protein breakfast for ADHD is supposedly like a really good way to sort of kick off the day.
Yeah, I just know that when I did some high protein diets, that was feeling so good. The clarity, low carb where you eat like this, or slow carb where you eat the beans and lentils and stuff for breakfast, but it's just hard to keep doing that kind of extreme stuff, like and I'm more following Japanese mindset now, which my wife's always emphasizes, to keep things balanced, right? So anything extreme is probably not to be advised, but I'm talking to extreme cyclists. So. But that Japanese sense of like, there's almost no vegetarians in Japan, because the amounts of meat people eat is not that big amounts. There's a fly now, but like people eat a lot of fish. Yeah, people eat a lot of meat, but it's small amounts always. So it's not a plate full of a schnitzel. So like that's I think really cool. And it's like natto beans, the Japanese natto beans, the fermented soybeans. They're like a favorite food of mine. Like, and that's typically a breakfast. So like, are
those the ones where it's kind of like a sticky?
Yeah, very sticky, and smells a bit funny first, but like first time you don't like it, and then if you try it over and over, then you probably fall in love with it. Yeah.
I always said, don't like the Japanese breakfast buffets. Some of the Japanese even might think, I don't know about those. Try them.
No, it's like so fun chatting to you. So it feels again like knowing each other in some way, but like never met.
Yeah, I know.
It's a funny thing. Like the people that we gravitated to, and that's what I now understand much better. I say, yeah, probably we're neurodivergent. Like we find each other somewhat, and it's kind of funny, right? Like I thought always maybe, okay, I like to talk to other entrepreneurs, but maybe I just like to talk to other ADHD people, actually. And then when I think about people that I was friends with in university or something like this, I couldn't relate to most people in business school because I was more like creative person, and then I was always thinking like, hey, where are the fun people,
Yeah.
I studied business and I studied design, and then in business school I was the designer, and in design school I was the business guy. And we have a word in German like bunter Vogel, like colorful bird, right? I always was the colorful bird, like instead of wearing the business attire, I was wearing, I don't know, some streetwear or something that I found cool, like yeah, and then you meet a handful of people that you could really relate to, and that's enough, like these were the actual cool people. So why care about others?
Yeah, sure. I think, there's this notion, I think in society, that you need to have lots and lots and lots of friends, and I think you need a couple of like really close friends, and then you can be friendly with people. But the idea of having loads of friends is, maybe it's the neurodivergent mind. I can't keep properly in contact with so many people. I prefer to have a close group of friends that I really can, keep that friendship at a healthy level, and then happy to be friendly with other people. But like the focus is on the people that you really connect with.
Yes. So I look at the questions also that I was sharing a few. I think we covered quite a lot, but maybe we can say like this question: where does your neurodivergence help you, and how do you amplify it now that you are aware of it?
I think that it helps me to hyper focus. So I've worked out what I'm interested in, and that's kind of the career pathway that I've followed. And that's, I can really hyper focus on something and make something happen because I'm genuinely interested in it. I think if I was in a job where I wasn't interested in what I was doing, I'd really struggle to actually do long hours and work towards something.
Yeah.
I think, using it to my advantage to, I can sit here and edit a video for 8-9 hours and then jump on the bike and ride and then do something else because I'm like obsessed about it. And I think finding out what that obsession is and harnessing it in a positive way is a benefit.
That's really good advice. Yeah, I think really speaks to me. Like you got to somewhat set up your whole setup, your whole system. Just gotta feed into this, like that freedom that we kind of want to have to be able to do then in this way. I think it's really important. Not having to show up in the office at a certain time, or like just be able to do it on your own terms. And I think that's why some people might choose to become an athlete, or other people choose to become an entrepreneur, to kind of claim that.
Yeah, I think so.
Be able to do that what you want to do all the time.
I think life is short, so if we're spending our lives doing something we don't enjoy, then we kind of miss the point. So I think everyone in this group is just kind of following their passion or their calling, which is really pretty special.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up the question that I had from the group. So, and TJ wrote, after saying like, brought tears to my eyes, the video that he watched of yours, and like, how did your ADHD affect your self-confidence? For example, not being able to retain things that like others do, or not being motivated and focused, and ways or tips to get more self-confident.
Yeah, I think I struggled with self-confidence growing up, and I never had a lot of friends. And I think it's always because I've kind of felt like a bit of an outsider. I never really felt like I could relate to a lot of people, and that made school and those sort of early years quite difficult. And perhaps that's where like the depression sort of started, when I started to realize that I'm a little bit different to the people around me. I think what's really given me more self-confidence is finding more of a purpose in what I'm doing. I kind of go to university and get into a degree. I wasn't really interested in doing that. I just sort of felt like that's what I should be doing. And I kind of never felt like I knew myself. But when I really kind of realized what my passion was, and I started working towards that, I felt a sense of purpose. And I think having that sense of purpose has given me more confidence, because I feel like I'm doing things for a reason. And outside of, I think, confidence, we often look at it as like it's certain, people get confidence, oh, they're good looking, so they're really confident, or we always look at it as like something that's kind of external. But I think a lot of confidence comes, most of the confidence kind of comes from within, like feeling like you're doing something for a reason, and you feel like you have purpose in life.
Right. Yeah. And that we talked about friendship, and you just brought it up again. The second question was about like how it affected you being able to make friends and your relationships.
I've really struggled all my life with, like I'm kind of friendly with everybody, but I've really struggled to develop close friendships with people. And I feel let down by people when it's something, for example, like I'm really trying to work out how to word this. Like team sport, for example, there was someone in the team that kind of wasn't giving 110% like I thought I was giving. I really struggled with that, because I felt like, oh, they're not committed. I think that cast me as an outsider. And for that reason, I kind of alienated myself from a lot of people, because I didn't want to be associated with people that weren't really committed to what they were doing as well. That's like, it's a really good question. I've kind of got to look at how to put it into words. I think, I've never had a lot of friends, and I think it's probably because I've never felt like I belonged up until kind of more recently.
I mean, and then you're on your bike, you're anyways on your own, like, you seem to be very content about being on your own, on your bike.
The funny thing is, I'm kind of realizing the importance of having the team as well.
So you do things now in a team? How is the operations behind Jack Thompson?
More like I'll have a videographer, and then I'll have somebody that's managing logistics, and somebody that's managing content, and like I kind of always ride alone. But I think in the past, I've tried to do everything, and I've realized I can't do everything, and I need I need help with certain things, and almost handing that help over, handing those tasks over to somebody else has been something that I struggled with a little bit, sort of like giving away the control. But I think I'm starting to realize that that's the only way that you can sort of take it up to another level, is actually working in a team. And like I said, that's something I've always struggled with, so it's something I'm working on now.
Very good. Like maybe we could also just learn from you, like what's next for you? Like, what are the things you now want to kind of like focus on and achieve?
So I guess like project wise, we've got one more project this year, which is in India, climbing the world's 3 highest roads. So that one's in September. But I think like the more wholesomely, I want to sort of work more towards those large scale social impact projects, more public speaking. So I'm actually heading back down to Australia later this month as the keynote speaker for a ADHD medical conference in Sydney, which is really cool. So just talking about my experience and doing more of that public speaking and talking to people about the ADHD and this whole space. And then I projects that revolve around doing something extreme, but tying it back to a greater cause. That's I guess the future, and we've got plans for a big project next year in the US that we're working towards, and that's kind of where I'd like to go with it all.
Yeah, I mean the cool thing about cycling is just that basically everybody does it or can do it, and then you can. So everybody can relate to some extent, and they know how it feels to ride, I don't know, 7 kilometers to school or to work. But then they see about those crazy numbers, and they just curious, probably like.
I think in general, like getting more people exercising.
Yes.
It's really trying to like highlight the benefit of exercise, not just physically, but like
exactly. Yeah, and bicycling is probably just perfect for that.
Yeah.
Where jogging, running, people might not always, feel so good about their knees and stuff, but then cycling is more gentle, and everybody can do it. Even now with the electric bikes, even more. And that's fun. Like I've been, with my dad in Austria, like riding up some really cool mountains with the electric bikes, and I was able to enjoy that together with him, who is, in his late 60s, and that's just.
With my dad, like it allows us to ride together.
Yeah. But you're off the electric. You're doing it with your.
You go to the electric, and then we can ride together. And
exactly. That's good. Do you have anything that you still want to share or talk about from your side?
No, I'm just I want to get onto the Slack group and utilize that more. It's been a busy couple of weeks on the road, so I'm looking forward to jumping on there and meeting everyone properly and be a part of the group.
You're very much welcome. So like on Slack we talk, but of course it's hard to in the beginning to get really conversations going, and like and I'm but there's a few people that then also connect to each other after meeting there, and it's really like a new form of internet. I would almost say is needed. Like where do we have conversations, like, and it seems to be more this micro kind of communities that evolve around the topic, and so from that regard, it's pretty cool Slack group. But then the most important thing, I think, is those monthly calls that we have. So difficult to find a perfect time in a day because everybody is scattered around the globe. But I now try to do one on the 15th of this month. So
cool.
Gonna be in the evening European time, and I'm gonna send you an invite. But feel free if you can join for an hour or so. And there we basically just after getting to know each other, we share questions that everybody has for the group, and then we just talk about it step by step about those questions that come up from these people, real people in the group. So that's really, really like cool. And people, I don't know, right away feel a bit, they can let go a bit. Like I know somebody said right away, like this Miro board, and he doesn't feel comfortable like using a Miro board while like talking, and he never said it in any other meeting, like in work or something like or stuff like that. Or people just feel like they can mention something that would be too embarrassing to mention to other people or something like that. But I kind of like, so it's called Neuro Spicy Founders, and it's kind of the idea is neurodivergent people who run a business, but it's not like we're gonna check diagnosis or anything from anybody. So everybody who can basically feel like this appeals to them is probably already right, and welcome. The one thing that I do check for, and I still figure it out a bit, is like, do people run a business or like kind of like, trying to build a business? I think this is a bit more of a common level that we should have, because then you can also talk about these challenges, for example, leading a team or, being kind of responsible for something bigger. And I find this really cool to actually meet people like you who are like athletes, and you also an entrepreneur on your own, like you have your sponsor engagement and your own production. So that is like a kind of an interesting, I don't know, niche or something I want to look into more. Do you have like some people, maybe other athletes that also talk about these topics, and that you maybe could tell us about, like somebody that does cool stuff like that on a different sport?
Let me have a think.
Yeah.
In the cycling world, there's not a lot of people that are talking about the ADHD. I don't know why. I don't know if there's... But there is actually one chap. His name's Phil Carville. He's written a couple of best-selling books. He actually owns a bike shop in London, where they do like the biomechanics of fitting people on a bike. He would be a good person to have in the group, I think, because he's an entrepreneur. I mean, he's set up his own business, and he's written books, and he's also just recently been diagnosed with ADHD along with his daughter. And he's, I think he'd be a good person to have a lot of research on the topic as well.
We'll look into him.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I think UK generally is like quite advanced with, having this topic not so stigmatized. It's like, I think they had a website a few years ago already, like with famous people with ADHD.
Okay.
And that list is really long, and it's just helped raise awareness, and it's the side effect that I hope to have with this community as well, that somebody might see this interview and then just learn about the topic a bit more, and maybe think then, is this something that I could look into a bit? But it's ultimately, it's like, now the awareness becomes more and more, and I just wonder like how general this will evolve. I mean, it's a creative source, and
I'm just going to send you the name of these two people. There's another guy, Martin Weir. Martin Weir.
That's the one that you mentioned first, or?
So Martin owns a startup, and basically a mental health psychiatric clinic in Australia. They've got, they're using AI to, they're close to getting approval using some AI technology to run the diagnosis of ADHD. He's actually he's ADHD as well, and he's got a number of really high-profile psychiatrists that specialize in ADHD to work alongside him, so he could be a really good one.
Yeah.
And the other one is
Bill Campbell. Cyclist. Cool, awesome. We'll look into this.
Cool.
Thank you for your time, man. This was really fun.
Apologies, I'm running late.
I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day, and talk to you soon. Yes. Take care, man. Bye. Bye, Jack. Bye.